It is my great, great pleasure and honor to introduce you to the cast of Blue Bloods. Give it up for Len Cariou. You're going to go straight down to the end. All right, keep that excitement going. Next up, Vanessa Ray. Let's do this. Yay! Just keep clapping, because here comes Marisa Ramirez. Welcome. All right. I know I'm going to hear some noise here. Give it up for Donnie Wahlberg. Are you ready? Are you ready? Tom Selleck!
I've got a note from Wendy Goldberg. Can I read it at the beginning?
Sure. You want to? At the very beginning?
About Leonard.
Okay, absolutely. All right. Let's give it up for Bridget Moynahan. And certainly, last but not least, bring it up for Kevin Wade. You're like,
Thanks for the last but not least.
The cast of Blue Bloods, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is an exciting night. We've been together for many, many times. We know each other really well. This is going to be a conversation. It's going to be organic. It's going to be fun. It's going to be flowing. Tom is laughing because he knows that I'm telling the truth here. But before we start, Tom, you wanted to read something that you just told me.
There's a name you heard before. It certainly belongs in this theater with us tonight. I have a note from Leonard Goldberg's family. And they wanted me to read this. Blue Bloods was Leonard's brainchild, and he created the family dinners that served as the emotional fulcrum of each episode. Because he understood what the everyday interactions around the dinner table would add to the show's dynamic and how they would resonate with viewers. Dad's career was long and successful, but sometimes people save the best for last. Blue Bloods was his crowning achievement, gripping stories of a law enforcement family unapologetically infused with care, inclusive family values in an age and at a time when we, this country and the world, need those values more than ever. I did make, to prevent a certain amount of embarrassment, I made one edit in this. Dad passed away in 2019, but he would have loved to have been here to celebrate 15 seasons of Blue Blood and to thank that guy who plays Frank Reagan for his powerful leadership on and off the screen. Leonard always knew there was no show without that guy who plays Frank Reagan at the head of the table. He would want to thank Kevin Wade for understanding Blue Bloods so perfectly from day one, for successfully shepherding the show, and for his excellent writing. He would also want to thank Donnie, Bridget, Will, Len, Vanessa, Marisa, and an exceptional ensemble for bringing their characters to life and making the audience genuinely care about them. Leonard's vision was one that this cast, writers, and crew all shared, and the legacy of Blue Bloods will live on forever. Thank you, Wendy Goldberg, Amanda Goldberg, John Mirisch, and Richard Mirisch.
That is, to me, that's sort of a beautiful jumping off point to talk about the show, specifically how it's evolved over the course of those 15 years. And as I told you guys at the beginning of this, we're gonna have an organic conversation where we've known each other for a number of years, and these are the types of conversations that we have around this show. So if I had to throw it to the group, I'm looking at you, Donnie, but I'm throwing it to the group. How would you say the show has evolved over the course since the first episode to where we are now?
Wow, gosh. No pressure answering that one. It's, it's evolved in many, many ways. In some ways because our characters had to evolve, they had to develop, they had losses in their life or different things that occurred, and in some ways because the world is evolving around us, and what this family does in their profession has had to evolve. Certainly I can speak to that playing my character, and fortunately he had a great partner to come along and really finally get through to him after so many other people couldn't really get through to him. But it's been in the amazing hands of Kevin Wade for the last, dozen years or so, and it's evolved in other ways too. But I think it's evolved in how much it means to so many people as well. I think that's a really profound part in all of this. It's very rare to do a show that lasts 14 years, as I think we can all attest because we've never done it before. 15 years. 15
now.
15 now. But I can say it's even more rare to be part of something that means so much to so many people. It is a once in a lifetime, and the show's legacy will live on forever. And I think part of it is because it's adapted and evolved so much.
Tom said something to me early on in my job running the show. I started in the second season. I came on as a writer in the first season. And we were flumphing around, as one does, concentrating on plots, on the bad guy of the week, on the syndicate or the gang or whatever it was. And Tom said to me, the jeopardy in this show is not, do we catch the killer, or does one of our as one of our main characters in a kind of peril. He said the jeopardy is always going to be, did two or more Reagans come to an impasse between each other that they can't walk back? That was really, the family dinner, I think, became a lot of things to a lot of people, but it was also a forum to go, can this group collectively separate these two and say, go cool your jets and come back? Do you know what I mean? So a lot of what we did over the ensuing years was finding way, obviously, hopefully telling entertaining crime stories and legal stories, but to bring two or more of these guys into conflict and be able to work that out alongside the crime show.
I mean, that was literally going to be my second question, which is, what is the secret sauce to this? And he hasn't looked at my questions. He doesn't know what it is. But I want you to take off from what we're hearing here, Bridget, which is the show has resonated with so many people across. I mean, in the world that we live in now, it often feels as if we are more divided than ever. But this is a show that brings people together. Talk to me about that.
I think that, two different aspects of it. The family dinner brings us together on screen, and it brings people, the audience, together, yearning for that in their own lives, or reigniting that in their own lives, appreciating those moments with their family and those conversations. And for me, I love speaking to district attorneys, lawyers, or police, people in the law enforcement about the show, because they always thank us. And I'm sure you guys can speak on that a lot. Thank us for telling their stories. And I think from me doing this show, every time I see a police officer on the street now, I see them beyond the badge. I see them with family problems, maybe money problems, sisters, brothers, you know, they became so much more real and dynamic and layered because of the show.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, I'm sure you guys can speak on that, the way people would come up to you guys.
We don't get the privilege of seeing one of our episodes with an audience. And if you take the first year of Blue Bloods compared to the third year of Blue Bloods, say, or the fourth year of Blue Blood, there was a lot of inside jokes that you guys all got. They got it from a look with her boyfriend, ex-husband, from me. They got all these seals, and what evolved, and when you're really in the sweet spot, is when the audience can walk inside the characters' heads and think they know what they're going to do. And then you can really have fun, twisting and turning it all. I've lectured Robert on this. He understands.
So Tom brings up an interesting point, the characters and trying to get into their heads. And there are certain themes and there are certain storylines in Blue Bloods that the fans love. Vanessa, let me ask you about Jamie and Eddie's relationship. I mean, you know, because you just heard people whooping and cheering because there is a devoted fan base to that relationship.
What are we called? Jamco. Listen, Eddie knew what she was doing, right? She got the husband at work, and then she was like, how do we seal this deal? I'm gonna go home to his real house. I mean, it's like the best love story ever, right? You meet somebody, you're on somewhat equal footing in the sense that you are like literally seeing fires and running towards them and trying to, you know, what cops do, like to Bridget's point, like they are putting themselves in they're walking the beat. Anything dangerous could happen, sure. But they're often dealing with like domestic disputes, right? So their relationship was so beautiful because they would be dealing with these domestic disputes and then go sit in a car for like 10 hours and talk about it. And like talk about how they feel about it or what they would do differently or what do you think about it. And so it was so beautifully written and played out so wonderfully by our writers, like just these great conversations that they had this perfect, like baseline. You know, they had this perfect baseline and then they built on that. And then she was thrown to the wolves.
Just for Danny and Baez's unwritten relationship.
Yeah, what happened
that
there?
was the second best love story never told.
Literally, I have a question
Baez.
here.
Baez.
So that was my next question. You guys have incredible chemistry, okay? But you've never gotten together.
It happened during a commercial break. First of all, the scene and it played during like an underwear commercial or something. Nobody saw it.
No, but Marisa, I know that the fans love the chemistry that the two of you have on set. The question that everybody has, is there a romance in the cards for Danny and Baez?
Tell us. I don't know. I mean, jeez, what a question.
But that chemistry is something real.
Definitely. I mean, Donnie and I have become the best of friends over the course of all these years. And so our friendship has developed, our characters have developed, and we've found the layers in our characters and in our personal lives. And we were able to kind of bring a little bit of that into our characters and show deeper sides of each other's characters. Does that make sense?
It made
Yes.
total
Yeah.
sense.
Yes. And we're very lucky that we were able to kind of bring those little nuances to the writing and kind of make the scenes our own and have just give little bits here and there, little teases of fun and just more personality instead of just like, you're bad today, and
Yeah.
it was great.
And our writers graciously supported that,
did.
Siobhan and Kevin, we would just add our friendship to the characters. And I think I think that led the audience to want to see more.
that's
But it really was just us, we got along so well. It was like our characters always are arguing about Danny's a hardhead and he needs to change the way he does the job. Why don't you start listening and let's, and that's part of the evolution too. But the writers were very gracious in letting us try little things, add little fun little elements that I think really created a want from the audience to see them evolve further.
Yeah.
But we don't know if that's going to happen.
We don't know.
And we love that, but it has to be said, and this is a writer's thing,
Yes.
not an actor's thing.
Okay.
There are no good scenes between a happy couple.
Ooh.
It's very hard.
like that.
If you watch Cheers all those years, it worked because Sam and Diane were doing what Donnie was just describing that they do for
Yep.
all those years. Once you put them together, the rare exception is what we were able to do with Will and Vanessa. But otherwise, if you like them so much as a couple and you get them together, they like each other, So
That's when they stop getting along
That's
so well.
right.
Yeah.
Magic is gone.
Well, it's
Yeah.
true that you got to start fighting, and then people are like, "Is there trouble?" No, we just have to have something to disagree on.
So we had sort of the perfect blend of ingredients for those guys to be able to do this over
True.
many years.
And the fans love it. The fans love it. Len, let me ask you about, you've had such an incredible career. I've watched you my entire life. And I think a lot of people feel exactly the same way. When you first thought about playing Henry, was it different than anything you'd done before, or did you find some similarities in some of the previous acting credits that you'd had?
In the first place, I thought, well, wait a minute now. They want me to be his father. Who the is going to believe that? That's what I said to Heather when she said, "You're going to get the part. It's going to run forever." Don't be silly. I mean, but the magic of television, folks. It was just something that I thought, well, they want me to be his dad. I'll be his dad. And we got into the room on the day we were up in Toronto doing the filming of the pilot, and the first scene we did was the family dinner.
Yeah.
He sat us down around the table, 9 of us around the table with the kids. And we all kind of looked at one another and went, "What?" And I was sitting there and said, "Why are we doing, why is this?
A group of strangers.
We just met last night."
Yeah.
I mean, literally, we had just met the night before. He said, "Well, I'm throwing you in the deep end." He said, "I want this to work so much. This family dinner is, as far as I'm concerned, the essence of this piece. It's going to be something that people hopefully will talk about." And he said, "I got to see if it's going to work." And he said, "Anyway, we've got the kids and we got to get them out early, so we got to do it first." We said, "Okay." So
Yeah.
I'm your dad. Go
It was
ahead.
a scene with a group of strangers pretending they'd known each other all their
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
Yeah.
And-
First day
and
work.
The second day, and Leonard walked in and said, "It worked. It works." And that was because of us.
Yeah.
Because we all went, "Okay, we're a family. These are my grandkids. This is my son. I've been this cop. I've been this commissioner." We had to do that overnight. We had to make that up in our heads. And damned if we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yes. So then, Kevin, was the decision to include the family dinner in every episode, was that made? Because something can work the
Yes.
first night. You might be worried that it doesn't work the next time.
You're always worried. Leonard Goldberg did say, as Tom, he wanted that, he had a thing I don't know if it's
He told me,
apocryphal or not. He looked at Norman Rockwell's painting with the Thanksgiving turkey. We all know
Saturday Evening Post.
Saturday
Yeah.
Evening Post,
The
right?
cover
the cover
story
of the
of
Post,
Saturday Evening
and he wanted that effect literally in every episode. So we took that on, and sometimes it was relatively easy, given that everybody had a lot going on in their lives, because these things are structured so that these guys they're not with each other except on Sunday. So everybody gets to come together with their stuff. There's other times when the family dinners would have nothing to do with what was going on with the cases of the week, and we could have fun with that. But it was a task that became a pleasure, because the writers would look forward to doing it. Sometimes we go, anybody got anything? I'd go door to door. Anybody? But it was set in stone by Mr. Goldberg early on.
And true to form, that first family dinner was a great big fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leonard said to me, it was nice to be offered something, because he wanted me to do it. And I said, look, I love this family dinner, but it's 8 pages long, and forgive me, CBS, but I said, the network's going to cut it, and that'll ruin it. And Leonard said, no, they won't. And he said, furthermore, it's not just a set piece in the pilot, it's going to be in every episode, a set piece. And that was Leonard's vision.
Yep.
Freedom from want is the Rockwell painting.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So Tom, tell me about your process for the family dinner, because I had the honor of coming, and if you guys are watching CBS Mornings tomorrow morning, you'll see me sitting at the table with the cast for a family dinner. But tell me about your process when you are all together for that pivotal scene.
Well, as the patriarch, he's concerned always. He doesn't always know everybody's problems, but he's always very interested in it. I don't really have a process. It depends on really what Frank brings in, and that colors everything else, but also what he reacts to with his kids, and certainly with the real patriarch at the other end of the table. And I think I just kind of try to stay as open as I can and watch and glean from the rehearsals what everybody's bringing in. And that's the most important part of the process. I usually go first because I just don't like to repeat myself 52 times on film. So I'm always trying to get everybody to be full out in the rehearsal so I can figure out what I'm going to do when my close-up comes next. So.
But we hadn't seen each other all week.
That's what I was gonna
so
say.
So then we would be goofing off
I was just
and
gonna
getting
say,
into trouble.
You want to go first so you could goof around after.
Right, so you're saying that when you all get together for this scene, you haven't seen each other in a week, and so you're kind of behaving the way any other family would behave,
Totally.
which is people are goofing off, people are not ready.
Well, there's two families. There's the Reagan family, and there's this family of actors.
Yeah.
And the family of actors wants to service their relationships. It's,
Yeah.
Which is fun.
It's fun.
Drives directors crazy.
I want to talk about some of the things that y'all do outside of Blue Bloods and how you manage to continue to do the show for all these 14 seasons. Marisa, your character's a mom. I love that your character as a mom was based on your real life experience as a mother. And what else from your own life did you bring to this character? I think that's kind of interesting.
I guess a lot of being a mom. I gained a lot of strength. I learned a lot of strength from this character that I feel like I didn't have in my own personal life. So I actually learned from playing this character.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because usually actors will say, no, I brought this personal struggle, this personal challenge to my to my acting. But you're saying that from the
Yeah,
character.
I felt like I found my voice more as a person, of course, from becoming a mother, but also from playing this character that was so strong and so New York and so just this great, powerful woman. And I felt like I was finding my voice as I was playing Baez's voice.
Donnie, what about your schedule as a? I mean, my man. I mean,
Wow. When your schedule gets a standing ovation.
yes, exactly. Just the mention of your schedule with New Kids on the Block. How do you manage that, young Mr. Wahlberg?
It's very easy. I mean it. It's very easy. That is the greatest inspiration and motivation for me. I know. I love you too. You know, my New Kids fans came right along to Blue Bloods, and they are. I'm not taking credit personally. I'm giving it to them. They're a huge part of the show's success for sure. They support it, and I mean, we've trended Blue Bloods Friday like every Friday for 14 years, and we're going to do it again tomorrow night. And you know, I guess I look at it like this. I worked my whole life to be in this position, you know, to be part of something this magical, and I think you know, there are years where I was very successful as a young man and then wasn't very successful at all. And, you know, these aren't the most difficult problems in the world. I didn't struggle the way my dad struggled or my mom struggled. But it took me a long time to find what I was doing next in my life. And fortunately, those years I became a dad and it gave me a lot of time to be with my sons and raise them and focus on them. But I would just say right now in my life, I'm in a band, I do this show or have done this show and do a few other TV shows and go to a lot of basketball games, do a lot of stuff. But these are things I worked my whole life to do and dreamed of doing. So it's not time to go yet.
We got a little bit more time here.
So for me, there's no pressure to do what I do. There's no pressure to get off of a plane at 6 a.m. and run to the set and go to the dinner scene. In fact, it's a dream come true. I remember when the season 1, I performed on the American Music Awards on a Sunday night. It was New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys together. And I came to work the next morning and Tom was in the makeup trailer and he walked in and he said, "I saw your performance last night." He said, "Your baseball hat was a little low. I would have liked to see your eyes, but it was great." It's like, I didn't need any sleep. It was like Tom Selleck like watched my band on the American Music Awards. It's like these are things I could only have dreamed of as a little boy, you know. I'm truly blessed to be able to do this. And I will say, when I decided to bring my group back together after working so hard to be taken seriously as an actor, a lot of people were like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I was like, "No, I'm going to do this, and it's going to work." And I just treat everything like that. It's like this show, you know. We all took a leap of faith. We all did the dinner scene on the first day. It's like, how the hell are we going to pull this off? And it's like, I got to yell at her and get him mad at me, and you know, it's like, okay, let's do it. You know, it's like I just feel truly fortunate, and this show has been one of the greatest blessings of my life, and I've enjoyed every second, and I would never, ever complain about a busy schedule. There are so many worse things in the world that people are dealing with all over the place that I watched my family deal with, and I'm blessed. So there's no schedule that is too strenuous for me.
Go ahead.
I just want to before I forget, or forget to mention it, we were only supposed to do 10 shows like everybody else on 14th season. And it kind of helped that we were the number 6 show out of 100 broadcast shows. But that's not my point. My point is, these 8 shows that we can look forward to are because CBS agreed and wanted to do that and celebrate not only celebrate Blue Bloods, but to commemorate its legacy, and I just wanted to thank them.
Bridget, along the same vein of the question I asked Donnie about touring as a musician and also being in Blue Bloods, I mean, what's it like for you to be a member of a cast where your character on Blue Bloods, Aaron, is iconic, but you've also played, I mean, give it up, right?
You felt that, right?
But you have played another iconic character on Sex and the City. And I asked you about that because all of a sudden, here I am.
It didn't get the same, you know. I broke this tooth at lunch, okay?
What did you say?
Idiot stick figure.
Oh, yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, here I am watching, and just like that, here comes one of the most iconic characters in the entire history of Sex and the City. What was it like to revisit that character, whilst also knowing that you're part of this show that has this incredible legacy?
I mean, I got a little like girl fanny when I went back to that set because I think we were in COVID or just coming out of COVID, and there's Carrie and all the girls in the outfits, looking fabulous, down on the street, and I was like, oh my God, I get to be a part of this. And when I first did that show, I was so out of my league, I was just not knowing what I was getting involved in. And it's true, I was just like, I don't know what's going on here, but hopefully I won't mess it up. So I don't know what the question was. I just feel so like just blessed that I get to be a part of that and be part of this and do it at the same time. And like Donnie said, it's like we've all worked our lives to have this moment, and we don't take it for granted. We're just always feeling so grateful that we get to go play. We get to play, and with talented people, and just have the best job ever.
Yes. Look at you guys, they're like whispering sweet nothings to each other across the room. I love that. Vanessa, I mean, let me jump on. I know it's work, and we all know that you guys work really, really, really hard, but it always has struck me that you all have a lot of fun playing these characters, and that's why you've kept up with it for this amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about like what makes you stick around, you know what I mean? Because all these actors are all in demand in different ways, and I mean, obviously, like Donnie just figured it out. He just was like, have a plane there and have somebody, you know, but we're all in demand. I mean, I'm not one of these. I'm not saying I'm in demand. I'm just saying these are all icons, right? These are people that you see everywhere in all different facets of the entertainment world, the artistic world. And I think genuinely is like, at the end of the day, we just want to be a part of a tribe that's like of creative people. You can look dead in the eye and hold their stare, and they won't look away. And I think like, oh God, you guys, it's really, really, really an honor to get to do it.
We have no tissues.
Don't ask me anything else.
I have to say, you know, we'd be working about now on the schedule, and I really miss that. But what I miss most was my friends, my actor family, and I hadn't seen them, and you always say, like in high school, well, we'll see each other, and it never works out that way. Everybody works, everybody goes this way and that way, and suddenly that opportunity that we had, that gift of once every 8 working days, seeing everybody. That doesn't happen in almost any TV show, but the way our show was structured, you could always look forward to that. And it's 2 families. They're the Reagans and the actor family.
So Len, let's talk about that. What was perhaps one of your most favorite moments to film over the course of Blue Bloods? Do you have a favorite episode? Do you have a favorite arc?
Were you talking to me?
Yeah.
You're on, Captain.
The one that seems to pop into my head right now is the one when we had the family dinner in the hospital.
Yeah.
That was, I think, a genius stroke of Mr. Wade, saying, "Oh, we got to have this family dinner." So I forget, did Siobhan write that episode? I can't remember exactly, but
I think that's the one
Just say yes.
Yeah.
Siobhan, please.
Yeah. And so there I am, have this heart attack, and we're in the hospital, and it sticks in my memory as being one of the very favorite ones. The other one was when I did the song with
Sammy.
With Sammy Gale?
Yeah, with Sammy. I'm trying to think of the number from Annie. That was fun. Some of our scenes that Tom and I had, and our one-on-one scenes with my grandkids, those are memorable for me. So I don't know whether that answers your question.
No, it does. And I actually, that scene of the family dinner at the hospital, Kevin, that's kind of, where did that come from? And did you know that was one of his favorite scenes?
I do now, and I'm very glad. What was unusual about it was the first sort of test of what that was. It wasn't conveniently them all coming to Pop's house for dinner on Sunday. It was a movable feast. So it was partly about the fact that the patriarch of the family had a heart attack, and we need to either bring it to him or he misses it. So that it had a nice bunch of emotion just going into it, you know.
I just saw the one where where we wanted to take your car keys away. That was a good show.
You know, Gladys, we're talking about this, and I think it's worth pointing out, was people have been talking about the work, and I think to share for the audience really briefly, the work is a first draft from a writer. These guys get a script maybe 2 or 3 days before they shoot it. They go to hair, makeup, wardrobe. They have about 90 seconds, 2 minutes to rehearse the first scene and every subsequent scene that they're in the episode. And what you hope it is good, but what it has to be is on Friday night at 10 o'clock. But what you've seen over 14 years from these actors, and I'll say also these writers, is an astonishing, I think, amount of terrific work on an impossible deadline. And I've watched these guys do it week after week and year after year, and they're amazing. So my hats off to them.
I want sort of everybody's take on this. You also shoot in New York City, which is not that common because it's expensive and it's
So they
difficult.
say.
So they say. What? It's not expensive. But what's that like for all of you? I mean, you are playing New York City police officers, a police family, and you're on the streets of New York City. I mean, Donnie, you first. What do you think?
Oh, man. Well, the city it's not a Reagan, but it's definitely a character in the show.
Yeah.
The most spectacular background you'll ever see. Stories that you can only tell in New York. And sometimes we get a script and it's like, huh, what? This guy's doing what? And it's like, oh, it's New York. It could happen. You know, it's like, and then they turn out to be like tame compared to reality, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's been, I'm a Boston boy, and this city has treated me like its own and treated this whole cast like we're New Yorkers, really from day one. Maybe they waited a few episodes to make sure we weren't goofing it up, but I've never felt so at home than I have in this city over 14 years, and it means a lot. You know, we're a network TV show. Those don't really get awards anymore, but there's no greater award than walking down the streets of New York and having a detective or a police officer or a fireman or anybody say, thank you, great job. Or just regular New Yorkers. It's like, it just means so much, and it's so very rewarding. And yeah, it's just been a spectacular time in an amazing city, and I'll miss it. I already miss it.
Yeah.
And I'm here, and I come back. I'll be here plenty, but yeah, it's just what I've never had a bad time shooting in the streets of New York. You could put me in any neighborhood, in any borough, and I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to take a lot of selfies. I'm going to meet a lot of people, and I'm going to feel like I'm home. And that's a magical feeling, especially for a kid who grew up in Boston. It's under the shadow of this amazing city. It's been an honor to spend the last 14 years in this city.
I love that. Marisa, was there ever a moment when you're out in New York City that something happened that you looked to the cast, the crew, and said, man, this is so New York? Like, there's stuff that's happening all around that, you can't even, you couldn't come up with it, Kevin. I mean, and you see it like off the center of your eye or something, and you're like, only in New York.
I mean, every day, but I'm from LA, so coming here, that I was supposed to be here for one episode, I was trying to figure it out, and there was a crazy blizzard my first week, and I didn't have the shoes or the coat even for it. It was very strange. And then I'm here 11 years later, and I really have fallen in love with the city and everything about it. I miss it so much already. But things just don't surprise me here, They just don't. And I'm used to it, and I welcome it, and I want to see all the weird and crazy things about it because I love it now.
Yeah, I love that.
She used to always say, I miss LA, I miss LA. I'd be like, well, get a house, go back to LA. She was like, the last 2 years, she was like, I don't want to leave New York. Like, legit, her daughter didn't want to leave school. Like, she really did.
And we
fall in love with
left,
this
and now I
place.
just want to come back.
It has that effect on you. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Vanessa, let me ask about, because again, just vibing off of all of you, can I just ask about bloopers and what kind of bloopers? Because there's never been I've never seen a blooper reel from Blue Bloods.
Well, it's because there isn't one. It's because we're very professional. We all come studied. We come ready, and we never complain. I mean, no, there's nothing to see here.
But if there were something to see, what could we imagine?
What could you imagine? Well, Donnie and I dancing a lot at the dinner table.
It's basically just Donnie and Vanessa show.
Dancing.
No, we get them sometimes. We get the rest of them in on it.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, there's lots of jokes. There's lots of jokes we couldn't say here.
Well, so let me ask.
I'll tell you this. My
Okay.
mom said to me one time, she came to visit set, and they gave her, the headphones, and she got to sit and watch the screen. And it was a scene of me and Will in the car. And afterwards, she goes, do you realize that you guys never stop talking? And I said, what? And she's like, you guys never stop talking. Like, you're always talking. And I said, well, I think everybody does that. And she's like, I promise you, everybody does not do that. Like, you guys just sit and talk. And
I've met your mother.
You met my mother.
She talks a lot.
I know. See? So the point is, there's a lot on the cutting room floor.
I love that. We're going to take some audience questions in just a moment, but before we do that, Tom, I just want to ask you, what do you hope the audience takes away from this show after so many years? What do you want them to walk away thinking about when they think of Blue Bloods? And
A show worthy of an appointment. I have great faith and have had great faith in broadcast television. I think it's suffered from being put in second or third place. And, I don't think everybody in the world wants to spend an hour on their remote control looking at what they might want to see that night. And if you can, which we became, I'm proud to say, And that was hard at 10 o'clock at night. But we became an appointment, and then the ability to record shows developed. So it was either, well, I'll watch it, I'm tired, but I'll see it in the morning. And that's rare, and it comes, as much as anything, it's a reflection on the work we do. And that's kind of the ultimate compliment. You know, what Kevin said about Jeopardy is, I mean, audiences know certain things about series television. and the average guy is sitting there wanting another beer, and he said, "He's not going to die, Mabel. It's a series." So all this stuff, I think we're aware of the enormous amount of cliches in series television, and we comment on them, and we bring them up, and by commenting on them, it really helps with the audience because you're, again, sharing something. Magnum had a voiceover narration. We have an audience that by the time we sit down to family dinner, they know an awful lot of secrets that maybe everybody at that table doesn't know.
Yeah.
And that sense of discovery, they know more than the people at the table. Wait till he hears that. It's something. I'm just rolling on now. And
Well, so I do have
shut
some
up.
questions from people in the audience, and I've got a couple here. So this is from Jackie Bio, who's a Paley member. Thank you, Jackie. So this is an interesting question. This is a cast poll. If another Reagan was ever picked to be police commissioner in the future Blue Bloods world, would it be Danny or Jamie?
It was supposed.
What's that?
Excuse me. Me.
Does anybody want to answer that?
I mean,
So I think that's the
brain,
best
beauty,
answer.
and legs.
Boom, I'm in. Oh boy. All right, this is from Donna Gualberti. I hope I said that correctly. Donna, also
My
a Paley
cousin.
member.
Well,
First of all, I must say, this is the question. First of all, I must say at the outset that we will miss you on Friday nights. My question is,
Thank you.
oftentimes when a show becomes very popular, some of the stars decide to leave to pursue other things due to their newfound fame. But with Blue Bloods, everyone stayed for the entire series. What do you all attribute to that staying power and loyalty to? Who wants to take that? Go for it.
Leonard, to begin with, and
Yeah.
a sense of casting, and a cast that where nobody had any sense other than to do your best work. Nobody phoned it in for what, 290? I don't know what the number is now, 290 something.
Yep.
This cast does not phone it in, because I've been on a lot of shows, and you can start to say, what are the jokes? Yeah, I know what to do. That's, you know, and I got a dental appointment. I got to be out at 4 o'clock. And we don't do that.
there was no egos. You know, everyone came, enjoyed their job, was grateful for their job, enjoyed their time here, worked harder and harder every single year. The writers kept writing better stories every single year. You know, everybody cared about the
think-
job
yeah.
and about each other, about each other's personal lives and how they were doing and checking in on each other.
I think that goes back to day one. We were thrown into the deep end of the pool, and we jumped in, and we all swam like hell. And I think we then stopped and looked at one another and said, "God damn it, we're really good at this."
Yeah.
And that was my take on it anyway. I just looked at it, and everybody, said, boy, what a bunch of good actors we're going to be with. And aren't they good to look at?
I think it also has something to do with a sense of family. Because it's so strong, you want to come prepared because you don't want to let down your scene partner. Because acting is basically a reacting business.
Yeah.
And there's plenty to react to on this show.
If I can add too really quick.
Please.
I don't know if I've ever told this story, but it was the first time we were here ever at the Paley Center. God, it was 14 years ago. I know.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were in the audience that night that are here now.
Wow, that's so cool.
But we finished the screening and we were talking afterwards, and I don't hope I don't embarrass you, but I just want to show how, it does start. Tom said it starts with Leonard, and then it starts with Kevin, and then it starts with Tom, and when you see the people at the top treating it with such regard and respect, it means a lot. And you don't want to let anyone down. You don't want to be the next person in line and fumble the ball. But I remember we finished that screening, and Tom and I passed each other in the other room out there. And I don't know if you remember this, but I didn't know what was going to happen. Tom just said, hey, I'm really good at fixing scripts and making things better. And I was like, okay. And I already loved Tom. We were already shooting multiple episodes. It was, I was already all in. But and I thought he was going to say something like, and forgive me, I thought he was going to say something like, so if you need help with your scenes or whatever, come talk to me. And he said, and so are you. And I'm counting on you to keep doing that as long as this show's on the air. And like,
Oh, Donnie.
it's like, I'm sorry.
Why are you having to
I'm sorry. It's like, and he said it right in the other room, and I was like, I knew at that moment, if this show goes 83 years, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. And I gave him my word that day, and I stuck to it. And I'm sorry.
No, I call that the curse of the cat people. It always works.
Yeah, it was humbling. It was inspiring, and it means a lot. When somebody you grow up looking up to tells you, "Hey, you're good at what you do, keep doing it."
Yeah.
What better endorsement could I have ever gotten? And I think, I come from a big family, and the phrase they use is, travels downhill. And I was 8th of 9, so I got a lot of. And I gave it all to Mark. Yeah, he always reminds me too. But it also, the good leadership starts at the top too, and we've had some great leaders on this show, and none better than the man sitting right here in the middle of us all. He never stops working.
It's something you said, Marisa, about taking from your character something that you were able to incorporate into your own personal life. Karen Pilar, who's a Paley member, asks this. One of our favorite segments of the show is the Sunday family dinners. Have any of you incorporated this tradition into your personal lives? And I think that's interesting because we do, and I wonder if part of the love that people have of the show is this idealistic view of a family who's able to get together every week to have this meal, and because people know in their real lives that's increasingly hard to do. Have you at all, like any of you, taken that tradition into your personal lives?
That's really inspiring. I really want to. I think it's been such a beautiful thing for all the viewers to watch, and hopefully has inspired a lot of people to do that and to appreciate and bond with their families again, because I know our lives are so busy. My family is still very small, so it's the 3 of us, and we sit down to dinner. We're getting there. We're turning off technology. We're doing the
Nice.
things. We're doing the things. Yeah.
But I don't see a lot of hands up, so I'm guessing.
I grew
You have a
up.
big family.
I grew
Me
up
too.
in a family where we would sit down for dinner every single night, and then we would have family, like big family holiday dinners. And I still have the entire family over for all the holidays and cook. And we sit down and I make dinner most nights in the city. Like, we still do that. And I think because it's been the city, it's also inviting the friends over who don't have their family here. So you just make your family wherever you are. And that's kind of what we do anyway as actors. And as we go from project to project over all these years, you create a new family.
She makes the best brisket you've ever had in your life. And if you don't get to come, she'll still put it in a container and send it home with your husband so you can have it the next day.
You should do a cookbook.
Hey.
What? Like, I mean, I love that. I love that idea. Okay, one more question from.
We have another writer in the audience, I think. Is that Dan Truly?
Dan is here.
So wait,
Dan Truly.
before we even wrap this up,
And
who
Bob
are the writers?
Baez.
Raise your hand if you're a writer on this show.
Bob,
Yeah.
Siobhan Bernard-Connolly, and Bob Fahesi and Abby Sky.
When I started dating my wife, Dan's episode came on TV, and it was like in season 3, and it was Danny was getting offered a job to be a personal security guard and leave the police department. And I was like, who's going to hire me? I'm 5'9", I'm 5'10". But anyway, I'm like, Dan, this is not realistic, man. And this would never happen. Like Tom said, false jeopardy. He's not leaving the NYPD. And he was like, yeah, man, just trust me. It's going to be great. So I was like, oh, that episode. And it drove me crazy. And when I started dating Jenny, she goes, I've seen a lot of your show. She said, you know what one I really love is that one where Danny got a job offer to be a personal security guard. I was like, that's my favorite episode. I love that episode. Thanks, Dan.
That's great.
You really helped seal the deal, Dan. Thank you.
It's so great. Because everything we're talking about, I mean, all the things that you all are talking about and the things that the fans love, obviously, a lot of that begins on the page, right? And so I want to celebrate the writers who are here. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
This last question comes from Caitlin Timmermans. She's also a Paley member. And we've been talking about this. What? We're asking your question. What was your favorite part of filming the family dinners? And I know Bridget has an answer for this. And did you ever eat the dinner food? Always looks so good. What is the trick for like multiple hours of filming with all that food that is on the table? And the most natural thing, if you're not an actor, the thing that you would probably do if I was sitting there and filming the scene, I'd start eating because that's what you do.
Donnie.
Right?
I was going to say, we should
That's
answer
Donnie.
each other.
Really, Donnie, you eat like every...
Nonstop.
Yeah, but whatever you choose to eat in the first shot, 8 hours later, you're going to keep eating it.
It took me about 8 years
So
to
some
learn
of us,
that.
now the truth can be told, because the 8 episodes are done, we all have tricks. Bridget is a food masher. She keeps her hand real active.
Very active.
And combines her potatoes and everything. I butter rolls. As does Len, by the way.
Yep.
Len also does.
Guilty.
Len,
Father,
you
son.
butter rolls too, Len?
Yeah,
Len is a roll butterer.
Okay.
absolutely.
I know everybody else has some tricks they might confess.
Vanessa, what do you do during the dinner?
before it's too late?
No,
She started flattening all her food.
I started flat. I took advice from the people to the right and the left of me, and I started, mashing up a lot of potatoes. You guys cannot believe what Bridget does to potatoes. Okay, you said it nicely, but Bridget is like mashing them, building an empire and the whole thing. I think what I did wrong though was the first several times I was at the dinner table, I did eat the rolls. I ate the rolls. I didn't just butter the rolls. I ate them.
Oh, that's
and
a
I think
mistake.
Bridget was like, at one point, she was like, "You sure you want to do that?" And I was like, "Why? How bad could it be?" And Will was like, "Your funeral, girl." And I was like, "Okay." And I kept eating. Then I realized, oh, you can't eat, 17 rolls.
I ate.
You ate the cucumber.
Yes, well, there's a thing. There's a silly part of the eating and a real part of the eating. And the silly part is if I was going on tour the following summer, I ate only vegetables. And if I wasn't, I ate whatever landed in front of me. And I did get high a few times off the whipped cream when they would do desserts. I would just eat whipped cream and I got these sugar highs. But in truth, I wanted to eat as the character because I just thought it was as far as I could go to be talking with my mouth full. And that first dinner scene, it all really goes back to that. That first dinner scene, you know, when I read the script, I said, oh my gosh, this is like my life. I'm arguing with my sister at the dinner table. My dad's over there giving me a dirty look, you know, and intimidating guy. But that dinner scene, I thought I just used eating as a way to be a little irreverent and a little bit of Danny. It's like throw an insult across the table without even looking up and take a bite of your food and keep moving. It was really I just thought it was just a little bit of a way to be a bull in a china shop in a place where I can't really do it. You know, there's only so far you can go at the table because if Dad doesn't crack you over the head, Grandpa will, right? So that was just my thing.
Well, that was my biggest problem. At the Selleck family dinner table, we had when it was just my two brothers and my mom and dad, we had a little breakfast nook. You did not talk with your mouth full. So I can't really do it at family dinner. Right. So I said, well, you better not eat something because you might not swallow it by the time your next line comes up. So very complicated.
Tom, before we're getting close to the end here, but I would be remiss without asking you about another iconic character that you played in television.
A what?
Another iconic character that you played in television.
Yes, sir.
Magnum P.I.
Can I do a blatant plug?
Go ahead.
I just finished the audio book.
Of your book.
Of my book.
Of your book, which I had the pleasure of reading.
Never
and
know.
I came out to your ranch.
Yeah, we talked a lot about it.
We talked a lot about that.
So what were you going to ask me?
So the question I didn't get to ask you when I visited you in California.
It's not about shorts or a mustache, is it?
The mustache is pretty iconic. I mean, everybody knows that the mustache. Yeah, look at all those whoops. Remember, somebody told me today when I said I was coming out here to do this, they said, you know, one of the producers on CBS Mornings who's grown a mustache, and I was on our call explaining tomorrow we have a piece on Blue Bloods, and I'm going to be with the cast tonight. And somebody said, is Brian, our producer in LA, is his mustache as iconic as Tom Selleck's? And Brian said, the reason I had this mustache is because when I was a kid, my mom had a picture of Magnum P.I. on her fridge, and that was like her ideal man. And so I'm still trying to live up to that image.
But what was your question?
The question is, how does doing this show compare to doing Magnum back in the 90s? In the 80s, rather.
Well, it's the same mustache. It's just no. I don't want to talk about it. There's a lot of comparisons. I think the heart and soul of both characters, they both have kind of a hyperactive sense of responsibility, and I don't know. I like to think they're very different, but you know, I'm the guy playing them. That's the highfalutin acting class term is that's my instrument. So I don't know. You know, I see similarities, but Magnum was a guy who woke up when he was 33 and realized he'd never been 23, and he was checking out of that structured life for a while, and Frank has never checked out. Yeah. He can't escape it. Sometimes he hates it, but they're very different characters. The hardest thing about I can tell you the hardest thing about Frank is I did a movie where I got to play General Eisenhower in the lead up to D-Day, and you start to realize someone in command can't walk around crying and laughing and showing it. So somehow I had to find a way to show the audience what the other characters, hopefully Frank was covering up from. In the military, they call it kind of a command presence. And that was a huge help for me, the Eisenhower movie. Magnum, I don't want to say read the book, but I do like the book. But if you, that's the whole journey, and it's different. But the one thing that I am most proud of in both shows is all the main characters in Magnum liked each other, and that's the same thing here.
May I add something?
Please.
One of the other things that I feel like that are similar is that, and you will learn this if you read the book, is that like you really get a sense of all the pieces of Tom's life, the jobs that were ones that he didn't want to do or ones that he didn't get, and the whole entire journey. And Magnum was kind of like that opportunity finally happened, and all the lessons that he had learned from doing the Westerns or working with James Gardner or all these, Carol Burnett, all these lessons that he learned along the way, and he took with him, and he brought them all to this show and carried on those really like just professionalism, the acting levels, the professionalism on and off screen, inspiring us, setting a good example. You brought all of that you had really created on Magnum and brought it to us. So we're all grateful for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can I ask then, and we'll go straight down the line, and I know that you will all miss working together, but can I ask, besides that, starting with you, Kevin, what is the one thing that you will miss most about working on this show?
Coming to work. It's what you would expect. Not only these guys, but the writers, the crew. I got to walk around saying hi and being said hi to about 140 people a day for 14 years. Writers sitting alone in a room making stuff up, dream about that. I got to do it all the time. I miss it terribly. And starting with these guys, but all of them, Siobhan there and Dan and everybody else I worked with.
Yeah, and we had crew members that started with us on day one, on the pilot, who carried all the way to the last scene of the 14th, 15th season, and we all grew with them. We've had babies, we've gotten divorced, we've gotten married, we've had births, deaths, everything, and we've done it together as not just up here, but the whole crew.
Yeah. Love that.
So we miss them.
Tom, what will you miss most about Blue Bloods?
I think the people behind the scenes, our writers, our crew members, the crew members you're closest to, that you see every day, and suddenly it's weird. It's like on a movie, it all ends. You think you're going to maybe get together. Usually that doesn't happen, and well, it's after 15 years it's hard. It's hard to let go because coming to work was a joy.
Donnie?
It'll sound cliche, but every single moment. Getting in the car in the morning and talking sports with Maddie Nugent, walking into the makeup trailer, singing songs with Robert Farma, and having a party at the makeup trailer, getting in the car to go to set with Marisa and laughing our asses off the entire day, passing Tom in the hallway and saying, "Hi, Dad." I'll never forget the first time he responded back, "Hey, son." Talking to one of my lifelong and forever dear friends, Bridget, about anything and everything. After dinner scene rehearsals, laughing hysterically with Vanessa every single time we do a scene together. Every scene I've ever done with Len, you know, I modeled Danny after what I think Len was, you know, because, you know, you said, you're his dad. I was like, he's my dad? I need more hair. I need some eyebrows. I need a lot of shit to pull this off. So I could be his bloodline. You know, talking with the writers about ideas and trying things and, hey, can I try this and can I try that? And just the creative process and the crew. Man, what a crew we had. Ooh. And I mean, we just, what a blessing to work with them. And a lot of them came and went, but a lot of them were there the whole time. And I mean, just the laughs and the stories, and they would just pick up on things and they would imitate certain directors. And, you know, they would just all get on a tangent of imitating. Go, Donnie, it wants to be in the movie, Donnie, do that. Like, just everything about it was just a joy. And I'm rambling, but things are going to be popping up in my head. You know, it's already happened. I'm sitting in the kitchen eating with Jenny, and I laugh, and she goes, "What?" And I was like, "I'm just remembering like the props department and how funny they all were." It's a lot. It's going to be a lot of processing going through it all, but there might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 8 more books coming, because I think we could all write one about this, Tom included. It's been quite a journey. So I'll pass it on.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I mean, this show, this cast, this crew, it was my world for the past 11 years. I mean, it just changed my whole life. Vanessa and I both moved out from LA for the show, and just creating these bonds with the actors, the crew, everyone, and making so many memories together. And I don't want to cry. We went through so much together, and we shared so many things. And, you know, like Bridget said, you know, births, deaths, everything, so much. And, you know, people are all just so important to me in my life, and it's so hard knowing that I'm not going to see them. Not ever. I'm going to see them, but it's different when you're not at work together. It's so different. So it's going to be hard. I'm going to miss every single moment. It was just a beautiful experience, and I'm so grateful for every second.
That was good.
It was hard.
That was really good. I could say, I mean, what you said was perfect. Just walking us through the day, that's what I miss. I miss the, you know, the excitement of getting to work in New York City. I mean, it really is exciting every time you get in the van and you drive on the bridge, you go over to Greenpoint, and you're like, I can't actually believe this happened. But if just hear me out. The thing I'm gonna miss the most, I think, is sitting at the foot of these two gentlemen. I have worshipped Len Cariou since I was a child. He is an icon of theater. My grandmother, too, had a poster of Mr. Tom Selleck in her bathroom. And explains it all. Really explains it all. In her bathroom? In the bathroom, Bridget. It explains a lot. Anyway, the thing is, I think...
Learning some things.
You know, here's the thing. It's just what's so cool about doing what we get to do is we get to, every now and again, we get to bump up against our heroes. And sometimes they live up to what you hoped they would. And these two guys really did that. And I'm going to miss getting to sit with you guys once a week. It's really cool.
Len.
Well, there's nothing left to say. I'll miss every one of these people. It's been a wonderful time for me. They've mentioned the writers, the crew. I wasn't there on the set as much as the rest of them were. So it was kind of slightly different for me. I worked mostly in the house at the dinner table. These people are really good at what they do. I'm proud to have been part of this thing. It's a wonderful legacy, I think, for all of us. That's enough said, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Wade, Bridget Moynahan, Donnie Wahlberg, Marisa Ramirez, Vanessa Ray, and Len Cariou, cast and the executive producer and showrunner of Blue Bloods.